How you feeling today?
I feel good. I feel good in your presence. So you're making me feel happy. Yeah.
You've been working hard today?
Literally, well, I washed my hands literally before coming in here, but yeah, I've literally come fresh from the studio. So.
No overalls?
No, I don't work in overalls. I just have a lot of messy clothes back home.
Okay. Well, I'm going to crack on with a quote. I think this is one of yours, and I want you just to kind of delve in and tell me a bit more about it. What we fear of doing most is usually what we need to do. Don't let fear decide your future.
Mm-hmm.
You've been quoted saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a bit about that and why you said it.
Yeah, so that's on my website actually, that specific quote. And it's one of my favourite quotes just because I think fear and worrying kind of dictates a lot of what people do and a lot of what I do. So that quote kind of hits home because it's like, even though you feel that feeling, you still should do it anyway.
Yeah.
And that is how
feel
you take
fear.
Exactly. Feel the fear and do it anyway, because you will then take yourself to another level and outside of your comfort zone, which is where I think the good life is.
Yeah. So you've been doing that. How long would you consider yourself to have been outside of your comfort zone? Have you gone back into the comfort zone?
I mean, literally since coming out of university, to be fair, because prior to doing the art, I was a TV producer. And although that's a bit more secure, even though that's a bit more, even though that's a bit more secure than, say, becoming an artist, you're still, every time you finish one show, you're then looking for another job. So there's no like steady income, or you're earning a set amount this month or whatever. So I guess since coming out of university in 2022, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was a while ago.
Okay, 2012?
Oh, sorry. Hey, 2022. Yeah, something in between.
That's cool.
Yeah, 2012. Yeah.
Okay,
so
TV production. So in front of the camera or helping being creative?
Behind the camera, I'm a TV producer for 10 years, something like that, yeah. So yeah, come out of university, kind of fell into TV and then I guess worked my way up over that period of time.
Did you get to work on any big shows? You get to meet lots of big people, big names?
Weirdly enough, all of that feeds into kind of how I've managed to grow a platform today. So yes, in answer to that, I did get to meet some I guess influential people and some people with some big followings and that kind of thing. I worked on X Factor, Britain's Got Talent, I'm a Celebrity Get Me Out of Here, Apprentice. I was lucky enough to do quite a few of the big ones.
And was you being creative then? Was you kind of behind the scenes doing art at that time? Is it something, did you pick a paintbrush up at that point?
No. But to be fair, because like I said, because TV is a freelance game, and so once you finish one show, there's a gap usually, unless you can line it up nicely. I was always doing stuff on the side just because I like to be busy and have like a bit of a side hustle. And so I tried a lot of other stuff. I tried social media agency, I tried a jeans company, tried to get into the property thing, but you need a lot of money.
Oh my goodness.
But nothing really stuck until I started with the art.
So jeans company, that's fashion? A little bit, maybe?
Yeah, and I do like fashion.
That's
I mean, albeit, sorry for the closing, just from the studio. No, from the studio, but that, it just wasn't really my... Another quote for you is, your gift is the thing that you do the absolute best with the least amount of effort.
I love that one.
And I love that quote because if you're looking as to what you should be doing in life, instead of looking around, which is what I was doing, for like, oh, what could I do? If you look within and think, what can I do better than most other people? That is probably your gift and the thing you should be doing.
And waking up and not thinking, oh, I've got to go to work. Well, I get to go to work.
Yeah.
I get to do what I really love.
Yeah.
So I found a little bit of a similarity between us in the sense of finding our way using social media. It's been amazing for me doing this podcast to be able to reach out to people that I've followed for quite some time and kind of really admired from afar. And as you put as well, something else I read about creating a bridge that wouldn't have been there like 15 years ago. I'd have had to find an agent, be emailing people. I was able to, and didn't even have to bother typing it. I was able to voice note, which is great because you get to have a really good conversation and get a feel of somebody. So in terms of that and your art, let's bring it right to your art. And how would you say your journey started on Instagram with people being able to see your art?
Yeah.
I think like on a mass.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll take it even back to when I was at college. So like, I thought about doing art when I was at college because I'm really proud of it even now. I got full marks. I didn't drop 1 mark over the 2 years that I did art. So I knew I was half good at it, and then I could also skip. There's usually like a foundation year you have to do, but I would have been able to skip that year and go straight to uni. So I know I was like decent at it, but then when you looked at it, unless you want to go into the gallery system, there was no way to be able to get your work out there enough, or for enough people to see it to kind of earn enough money from it to survive, basically. And it wasn't until 10 plus years on. I wish I would have started then, because that's when Instagram was just beginning to become a thing and all that kind of stuff, and Facebook. I didn't make that wave, so I've been playing. It feels like I've been playing catch up ever since. But when I understood like the potential of reaching people through the connections I've made through TV and the kind of people that I knew, that's when I kind of started to take it seriously. About 4.5 years ago?
Yeah, because did you say 31?
3. Yeah.
33. So I guess you kind of grew up in that Facebook era. It was around when you was at school as a teenager.
Yeah, well, back in the day it was MSN.
Then, at least you had something, it was still in your DNA. It's always been in your DNA. There's, my age group kind of went without anything.
Yeah.
So it's good that you've been able to use that.
Being a 90s baby, we put it just right. Like, as in all your childhood, you were like out playing out in the field or whatever it is. and then you start getting a bit more techie as you get to your teenagers. So yeah, it was kind of, hit it just about right.
The 90s maybe. So the gallery system, so when you talk about that, is that going out to galleries? How does that work? So you go out with your art and you physically knock on doors and say, this is my painting. How does that
you
work?
can do that. I would never do that.
If you didn't have Instagram, would that be, or Facebook, or is that literally be?
That's the way you do it. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily knock on. Well, you would go with your portfolio of work, and they would choose to take you on or not. It tends these days, because of Instagram, you'll get checked out there, and it will be a gallery that invites you to come and represent.
Okay, so it's that way around.
The lesser galleries will be the other way around. But if there's a gallery that's of any kind of decent standard, they'll get in touch with you. So you will go into the gallery system, and then it kind of goes up. So you start like, say, your local gallery, then you'll hopefully get to like a London gallery, and then in those galleries you'll hopefully go from that doing a group show, which is where a couple of artists are showing, to then having your own solo exhibition, and then from there you'll then go into London, and then they will then exhibit you across the world, and then ideally you would go into the museums, and that's like.
So there is still a place for artists. Do you value that?
100%,
Do you value that arena of the gallery as such? Is that something you would like to be doing more of, or?
This is not a disrespectful comment. It just doesn't really make sense to me. As soon as they started talking about taking 50%, that just doesn't make.
Yeah. So you are business minded with your art now.
Yes. It's business first before the art, I would say. Which isn't how most artists think. It's kind of like for the love of the art and all that kind of stuff. But I don't really call myself an artist, I call myself a painter.
And the entrepreneur, can we talk about that as well?
Yeah, so, well, the difference I see it in as a painter and an artist is someone who actually creates ideas and comes up with the stuff, whereas a painter is, you send me an image and I can paint it for you.
Okay.
So I know I don't know, that's the way I see it. But yeah, first and foremost, I'd say entrepreneur, because a lot of what I want to do is like commercial deals and kind of bigger stuff. Yeah.
So with looking at your work, and sort of even if you were to do a very quick scroll down Instagram, there's a consistency and a style. Do you stick to that just for online, or do you have other styles that you have behind the scenes? What do you think is important to keep to the same style? That's your stamp. Is that how it works in that?
Yeah, I mean, so the style is quite intentional, because it's hard enough to break through the noise of social media now, because there's so many out there. So it was my idea, and I know that a lot of people try and paint in that style. So firstly I was like, cool, I can stick to this one style, so that if you see a painting you're like, oh, that's a Laurence piece. Yeah. And I knew, and if I could grow a big enough social media following, because I knew that other people were doing it, it would mean that people would associate that with me as well, kind of in a way.
Of course.
Secondly, with black and white, if you like, you only have to like one of my paintings or the person I'm painting, as opposed to like the colour scheme, because black and white's quite neutral. So when you painting, you haven't got to work out, oh, do I like pink, do I like yellow? It's just, do I like the thing and do I like the painting? And black and white will go with most kind of things. But kind of going forward, the paintings I do could take quite a long time. And to be able to get to the level I want to get to, I need to be able to produce paintings quicker.
How long are we talking?
So a normal painting takes 45 hours, which is about 10 days in time. But I need to, in my opinion, be able to produce a lot quicker. And so I'm going to a much more kind of simplified style, but more striking. So I'll be able to do more collaborations, get more reach, in turn get more sales, is the way that I'm looking at it.
Are they all one size? Or do you work different sizes? Okay, so if you order one of your paintings, they have to be that huge.
They don't have to be, they can be whatever size you want. However,
Okay.
my minimum size starts at 1 metre by 1 metre. So
Okay.
I can go up, but I will never go back down just because I personally like bigger pieces.
Okay, I like it. So when did you realise, or when did you suddenly think, hang on a minute, when was it, did you get like a phone call from a really famous person, or somebody that had some money, or someone you admired, they reached out to you? When did that cross over the bridge happen from just at home in your studio to getting those calls and realising this is pretty big, I can cash in on this, or I can utilise this for my social media?
When people were messaging me to buy stuff, I guess.
Is that a lot? Does that happen every day now?
It happened when they were cheaper, I guess. But people ask, but not a lot of people, I guess, aren't necessarily able to afford or want to spend that kind of money on a painting. But no, are you talking about the transition, you mean?
Yeah. So when did you go from somebody in their studio at home painting away to going online to then sort of making it into a job? I guess a very well recognised, something you could leave your job for and make it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I started. It definitely wasn't starting in a studio. It was at the end of my bed in my parents' house, and so I would paint pictures and then just be like around the house taking pictures, filming videos and posting that on social media. And then, because over the years of being in TV, I had met celebrities or influencers and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
They began to see it and repost it, or they'd contact me, and I would then go and give them the painting for free. So in the beginning, it was very much a hobby.
Can you remember who did your first shout out, as it were?
Yeah, weirdly it was my friend. Well, after that, it was a guy called John Clark, who was on Towie at the time and had also been on Love Island. But the first one was my friend who went on Love Island. He built a big following. I'd done my first painting of Kanye West, and then he come out. He wanted to buy it, and it was, what did it sell for? I think it was like £200 at the time, which was like a lot of money at the time, because I was obviously working as well. So I was like, yeah, 100%. And he posted it on his social media, and from there, other people saw it, and he had literally just come out as well. So it was a good time to kind of grab him. Alex Miller knows who he is. So yeah, he then posted it. That led to John Clark. John Clark then posted it, and then that led to people like Will I Am, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Philip Nine, different people.
And is it Chloe from Geordie Shore?
Yeah, that's been,
That was an interesting one.
Yeah, but in the beginning it was a lot about just getting to as many people as possible. I think
someone that's powerful, the amount of followers.
Yeah, exactly. I think I love Chloe, but going forward, I'll probably be painting bums and stuff like that. Just because I feel like I want to immerse myself in a certain type of market.
Yeah.
I want to be associated with certain things. So I have since changed the types of people that I paint for and the things I will paint.
That's really interesting.
But in the beginning, it's just you do whatever to just get it out there.
I love how honest that is, and that actually was one of my questions. Would you ever come to a point where you would say no to someone if it didn't meet your brand standards, as it were? Do you feel like you are a brand now? Do you class yourself as a brand?
I would never say it, but I always think of it like a business. I never think of it like, oh, I'm an artist. Because I'm thinking how can we get a deal in, or how can we work with this brand, or that kind of thing, as opposed to I feel X about this particular topic, so I'm going to paint about politics or whatever,
Can we talk about some of the big brands you're working with right now? Can we name drop?
Yeah. Yeah, so I've been lucky enough to work with some of the bigger ones. Hobbycraft was a big one.
Yeah.
Rolls Royce was another big one.
Tell me about Rolls Royce. How did that come about?
Instagram again. So the lady who deals with all that stuff, I'll leave her name out, but she reached out to me, and they were looking for a painting they were doing a showing of a new car, and they wanted a painting of the car to be there as well. That painting then got sold through their an internal online portal.
Yeah.
That money then went to the charity that Chestnut.
Oh, Chestnut Tree.
Chestnut Tree House. Yeah, that was it.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, that money then went to that charity, and from there, the guy who actually bought that painting for the charity then went on to commission me to do another painting for him as well. So it worked out quite nice. And they've said about doing a couple other bits as well, but I'm kind of busy at the moment, so it's like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Hobbycraft one as well. It was.
Hobbycraft was amazing. That was one of my favourite things because. Yeah, so initially they wanted, for Black History Month in 2021 maybe, they wanted me to just go and do something. And it was at the time of the World Cup, 2020.
Yeah.
It was the Euro, and the three players, Sancho, Saka and Rashford, all missed penalties in the final, and they got a lot of racism and blah, blah, blah. So I painted a piece of those three. They wanted the content to post on their social media, and then I, tried to sell the painting, but it's ended up leading to painting for Jadon Sancho.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Are you a big football fan?
I played a lot of football growing up.
Okay.
I think where I stopped, I like playing it, not necessarily watching it as much.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you've name dropped a few footballers there, and I'm like, is this like a big exciting thing to have these people coming to you and saying that they want to sort of work with you or have you work for them?
It's weird because like we're painting for more of those types of people, but I always set it out in my mind. One of my first ever videos is like artists to the stars or something like that. Like I can't even remember the video exactly, but it says like celebrities and the rich or something like that. And in my head, I just see it's a stepping stone because there's so many levels still to get to. So yeah, footballers is one amazing part of that, but there's other people that I want to reach and stuff. So I almost see it like it's destiny that's going to happen.
Yeah. When you say other people, do you mean business people or people doing other things out of the public eye?
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily. I'd love like a CEO of Goldman Sachs or like a top management in like a real top law firm or something like that. Like that for me is one, where the money's at, and two, queued up. Like I don't know, I just like that. It's kind of changed from like the vanity of celebrity and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
We do that, I guess, because people like to see it and it helps grow the following and stuff. But I'd much rather be doing those types of paintings.
What's your stance on followers and followings, and do you define that as success? What do you define as success? And that's a massive question, but there's so much around. I think we were talking, over Instagram about it. People's mental health because of Instagram and Facebook. They're seeing people moving on. Oh, why have they got X thousand followers now? And people, you can buy blue ticks and.
Which I will not do.
What's your stance on that? So I'm very interested to know someone that's using that platform. How it's mutating, isn't it?
Yeah. I find it fascinating that now for $11.99 you can make yourself feel important.
What do you think about that? Yeah.
I think that Instagram is a platform that was struggling against platforms like TikTok.
Yeah.
And they need to. I don't know how techy you want to get with it, but they need to provide for shareholders. They need to still make money.
Yeah.
And someone sent me, I think it was my friend Casey. They ended up making, I think it was like 600 or 700 million on the day that they brought that out. So yeah, it's a money making for them and recurring income from subscriptions. So like,
isn't it?
Month on month, that's what they earn. I guess if they can keep those numbers up, and it's like, yeah. But I just find that fascinating. I can't bring myself to go and buy one. I had recently quite a few different accounts that like that are cloning me or whatever. But until it becomes a real problem, I don't want to have to buy one. I want to earn it by merit.
Yeah.
But in terms of like followers and success and stuff, it's weird because people won't see you necessarily. And if you go into the gallery system, you haven't got to worry too much about that. You just need a presence, you just need to show some of your work or whatever, and the system will take care of you because it's on the gallery to promote you to their client base, basically. Whereas because I'm going solo, like a girl called CJ Hendry who's doing it amazingly, having the bigger following opens you up to just a bigger client base. So I don't really look too much at the number, even though 100,000 is kind of what I want to achieve first.
Yes.
It's more just about getting more people to see my stuff to be able to sell to them.
Yeah.
So in terms of success, Yeah, I have followers, but I think there's levels to the game.
Is money important to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
In what sense? Is it because you have the money to go and buy the latest car?
I want to be able to do anything I want to do.
Yeah. The freedom, the choices.
The freedom to do whatever it is that you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's cool. So growing up, so I may mention this, I'm very intrigued.
Yeah.
Was you the only child? Siblings? What was your story growing up? Let's go there.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm just I'm the oldest of three brothers. My other brothers, Tyrone and Emerson. Emerson lives in Dubai. He went into like
oh wow,
like banking and all that kind of stuff in London. And then to Dubai, and then my other brother works in sports, so he's a TV producer, but in sports he does like Champions League and stuff. Yeah, so he's done really well as well. But yeah, I think we were quite disciplined as, I guess, children, because my dad was an ex-football player for West Ham.
Oh my goodness.
But back in the day, so I think that we always were in sport and getting drilled into like the way you are, and I definitely think that's the hard work and the commitment and all that kind of stuff, like that feeds into a lot of now.
Did you see your parents working hard? Was that something, was a work ethic always going to be on the table?
100%, like, yeah, dad every day working, no days off. Mum worked, she's a nurse. What I find strange, well not strange these days, but like, they're still together.
Yeah.
And like, that's not that normal.
No,
sorry,
I tell you what, I think again, and I'm going to keep bringing it back to this, I think a lot of it's to do with social media and the interference and disruption we have that our parents did not have.
Yeah.
There was, I think, one telephone in the hallway and that one person in your life. I think now there's a multiple of, ways of getting at someone, I don't know how it is for when you paint, but do you turn everything off, your devices? Is there a rule, or do you keep it all going?
It's literally the complete opposite. I have to wear glasses now because I'm looking at the screen so much. Or like, what messes with your eyes is looking at a physical thing so close up and then looking at a digital screen close up. That really.
Okay, I did see. So you use digital, so technology is a big part of it for you.
100%. So I put the image on the painting on my iPad, and then next to that I'll have my phone, which I'll be listening to a podcast or looking to see what my posts are doing or whatever it is, or messaging people, whatever. And then,
so we're multi-screening all the time, aren't we? And I guess because you're working on your own, as it were, maybe that's your company, I
would say that's one of the hardest things about doing it, is that like, I'm a really sociable person, and being in TV, you're around people all the time. I like being around people, and that's one of the hardest things about doing what I do, is that you're on your own and all you've got is you and your thoughts.
Yeah. And going back to growing up, was it noisy? In that sense, was the household always bustling, or?
Yeah, for sure. Like, and we stayed together like as a family until quite late. Like, we all went to Loughborough University, which was quite weird. Yeah, which is you usually go to different unis and that kind of stuff, but we all went to the same. And then it wasn't until after that, so it wasn't until like 24 5s that people started moving out, and I think I was the first one. Yeah, so
it's just your mum and dad now, then.
Sorry?
Just your parents together.
Yeah, they're rattling around in their house or whatever, doing that. So yeah, we stayed together and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think a lot of work ethic comes from just seeing an example of what hard work actually looks like. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely, and that generation. They stuck to one job, going back to your mum being a nurse, which is an incredible job. Children now, they're not, I always say there needs to be more Instagrams around. I know there are some doctors and nurses, but going back to the thing, they should be paid the salaries maybe footballers are, and because it's not seen as glamorous. So I spoke to a nursery nurse teacher recently who said children aren't saying, I want to be a nursery nurse teacher.
Yeah, like that, yeah. I got, what I think is really cool, and I think social media is just part of life now. It'd be cool if like, your teacher had it might be a small account, but like, cool, this is what life's like as a teacher. And weirdly enough, in that, if you're operating at the long end tail of a niche, so like a teaching assistant in a primary school, that's so niche that you'd probably actually be able to do quite 100%. Well.
It's even a bit like art, or even chefs. Do you remember chefs? Well, when I was growing up, there was just like a couple of old men on the TV drinking wine and eating fish, getting drunk in the process, But now,
bikers.
Now they're all covered in tattoos. It's cool. It's cool to be a chef, isn't it? It wasn't when I was growing up. And what about yourself as an artist? Was there any cool artists that you looked up to? What was it like to think, I want to be an artist, or did you not even think that?
I think take influence from like CJ Hendon, who I mentioned before. She's like a hyper realistic drawer. Sorry. Alec Monopoly is another person who's got a massive following. I don't necessarily think his art is amazing, but he is a brand, and that is what I look at, and I'm like, yes.
That's your aspiration.
Yeah, in terms of like what you've been able to create for yourself and what you've been able to achieve. That for me is like, that's.
You say Alec?
Alec Monopoly, yeah.
So is Alec older than yourself? Or?
Yeah, he must be about 38.
Okay.
39, something like that.
And been in the game a long time?
Yeah, I've been a long time. Even now, I still feel quite new to it.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm quite new compared to like people who've been doing it for years and years and years and years. So I feel like I'm always put pressure on myself because I'm playing catch up.
Do you ever find yourself in a room of people, like really cool people doing what you're doing, and thinking, how did I get here? Or you're like, I deserve to be here. Is that something you have to work on, or you're working on? Or do you just take it all in your stride because you're young and cool and this is your life?
It's kind of weird, and I don't want to sound arrogant at all when I say this, but like, you know when you're saying in the beginning about your gift and what you're good at? Like, I don't like talking about it, but I know that I'm good at art.
I feel like you should.
And so like, when I'm in a room of talented people that are there, maybe they're footballers or maybe they're boxers or whatever, they're talented as well at what they do. And so I feel okay in that company. I tell you, saying that, going to those Rolls Royce events, I feel very out of place.
Why?
Because you're dealing with a different type of person. You're not talking about just millionaires, you're talking about like hundreds of millions. Because the cars cost so much to be able to just, do you know what I mean? So that's a different level.
Pocket change for them.
But yeah. And I'm not even trying necessarily to get to a level that big. I just want to become one of the most well-known artists. For me, I want to be known for being good at what I do.
I think
within the niche, do you know what I mean?
And why are we like this in the UK? Like, if you go to America, they scream about their success. That's what they do. And here in the UK, we're much more like, oh, I did really well, or I'm giving this a go because I think I'm really good at it.
Yeah.
We need to encourage that more. When we're children, we're 4, 5, we don't wake up and think, oh, I don't want to run across the playground because I might fall over and show myself up.
Yeah.
You get up, you run, you skip, you jump. We lose that joy. Like, the older we get, and I feel like it's taken out of us as we go along into the workplace.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't really preach on like being the best. I'm just showing people through my social media what it is I do to get to where I am.
And you follow.
So you can choose to like that or not. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas if I'm trying to tell you this is what you have to do, that's it's slight nuance, but it's a big nuance.
And following your heart, I know that's such an old cliche, but you clearly have followed your heart to get to this point and listen to that inner voice, whatever that may be, whether it's God, the universe.
You're Christian, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, same. But yeah.
You got the vibe. Sometimes.
Yeah. No, sometimes you have to make the jump, and you're never going to know when it is, but it will just feel. Feel like.
So your faith is really important to you. I think that's something worth talking about.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm not like every week
Carefully.
there. I am Christian, and that I grew up in a Christian household. I can't recite like literature and all this kind of stuff, but I would say that I'm a Christian.
And understanding that there's something bigger than us that can get you to where you need to be as well. It helps you park any ego there is.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, maybe I move in faith, which is the things unseen. I move in faith that like it will be what I want it to be, and I don't know how I'm going to get there, but like it will happen,
Yeah. Do you feel responsibility, like doing what you do? Because obviously I've seen some of your YouTubes, you talk about the side hustle and teaching and sharing people, maybe in the future generation of artists, how they can go from working in Tesco, say, to following their passion. Do you feel like you've got a responsibility now and using YouTube and things like that to help do that?
The two things, I think, if I could answer it like that. The problem is that you can tell someone how to do something, but if you don't want to do the work, do the thing, I can tell you the answer a million times, but if if you don't do it, it's never going to work. And so the problem a lot of people have when they message me is that I'm obviously a social media artist, and the volume, Dan Cameraman, he knows the amount of volume that we're trying to do, like in terms of putting out content. Like, to be successful now, you have to put out a lot of content, which is 5 stories to 7 stories a day, which is 1 post per day, which is a reel, which is a video, which is harder than a picture.
Yeah.
1 LinkedIn post, 1 YouTube every 2 weeks. That's going to be going up to 1 a week, and that'll be post more. 2 or 3 TikToks per day. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that is what it takes. And when I was in a job, people don't want to get up an extra hour early to just post for an hour.
Same, it takes that working out, isn't it? Because there's not enough hours, but you can get up at 5 a.m. if you really want to and go for a walk. And
how badly do you want it?
Yeah, that kind of thinking time.
And then secondly, in terms of like, do I feel responsibility? Yes and no. What I do know is that giving to an audience, selfishly, I know that them getting value will get me more followers. Because if you're an artist and you go, oh, this guy showed me how to paint this, oh, I've got an artist friend, you'll send that to your friend, and I will in turn get the benefit of that.
I remember sharing your stuff when I first came across your work. I was like, oh my god, look at this guy's work. The focus is very much as well, like the Whitneys, the Adeles, the people who you can literally remember by their first name. Is that the kind of thing you're going to stick to, or are we going to be seeing something a bit more different further along? Yeah,
I mean, this is the first time I've said it actually. I'm going to be going from portraits to popular culture items, so like,
oh my goodness,
Reese's Pieces jar, or like Oreos, what do you call it, biscuits or whatever, you know, that kind of thing, and stuff that I think will be quite fun to have on your wall.
Because that used to be done, I'm going back maybe 30, 40, like the Campbell's soup. Do you remember that one?
That's exactly what I'll be doing.
So this is like a 2023 twist on that. Because no one's doing that right now. I like that. That's
exactly cool. And you can produce that quickly, and I also can add my flick, so my own style to that. And that's kind of where I see.
Are you talking to anyone about that right now? Have you told any kind of potential buyers that you're thinking of doing this?
No, I mean, this is the first time. Weirdly enough, yesterday I had a call from a company called Fresh Eco Kid, which is like a streetwear brand, and they want me to do a collab where I flick paint at some of their hats, and they're going to do like a limited run and stuff like that. So, but that's what I mean. That kind of stuff. If you can produce stuff quickly, that is the kind of stuff that's there. People don't want to wait ages. We just move.
So you don't mind maybe so much doing a bit of a kind of a line of work, as it were. You don't mind doing a few. So TK Maxx, have I imagined this? Did you do some work for them?
Yeah.
I was trying to find the research on this, but
no, nothing's happened yet. So basically, in this new style of paintings, they wanted to put some prints in their stores, but there's a lot of legalities, which is why it's not really going through around drawing people's faces and IP and all this kind of stuff. So it's kind of stalled. So initially, I was excited about it, which is why I posted it. But sometimes it's actually best to just stay quiet and just get it done, then do that.
Get it signed and.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to try and make it happen. Maybe it ends up being like products, these things that I then go on to create. But at the moment, it's kind of parked. But that is again the kind of stuff that I ideally want to do.
Cool. Well, it makes me think about your education as well. When you was at school, was you the best artist when you had to do art stuff? Did you stand out there at all, or?
I was the best artist, but I never treated it like that I was. I would always think I need to be the best. Again, without sounding too cheesy, I always wanted to be the best, but because I would work hard and just be the best when you're at school or college, like no one cares. But my thing was like, I didn't want to be the best in my class. I wanted to be the best that had ever been to that school or college. So I remember asking my teacher Griff at college, I remember asking him, literally first or second day that I had him, I was like, who's the best artist that you've ever taught? And he showed me the painting that this girl had done. And so the whole way through, I'd never got the girl's name, but I was making sure that I was at that level, and then I, in my opinion, went on to go. I mean, personally. But yeah, hey, that's just my personal opinion.
And have you seen that teacher since? Have you been like?
I didn't say. I was looking for him for literally years, and then weirdly enough, I put out, I think it was again a social media post, just being like, does anyone know Griff? And weirdly enough, his wife was following me.
Oh.
Who also is a teacher at the school. Yeah, so she got in touch and she was like, yeah, that's my husband. Here's his. And now, I follow him, and I went into the school, did a talk and all that kind of stuff.
Is that something you're going to do more of, like going out to the schools? Is that quite important to you, or is just a now or like a one thing because you went to that school?
Again, it's more like a business decision. Like, I can go and do talk, like a one-off talk, but I wouldn't be doing that all the time because I can show you on my social media.
Yeah.
If there's a talk for like a corporate company or whatever, I was lucky enough to do one for PwC, Pricewaterhouse. That's more what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I suppose you could also help businesses with that side of things as well, kind of consultancy work as well.
Yeah.
Kind of branches off and goes off your entrepreneurial kind of side of things.
Mm.
Tell me about the estate agency. I have to ask about this. Did I read this right? You did estate agency for a bit as well as one of your jobs?
Estate?
Or
No, I don't think so.
housing, developing. No? Never worked in that?
No, I think like one of the things that I tried to do in terms of
Property development.
I wanted initially I was like, cool, I want to get to like 10 houses. Turns out that's freaking hard to do, and you just need you need a lot of money. So that kind of, I was always looking for a second property, like saved up deposit for the second place. But again, you know what I was saying, like it just didn't work out. Honestly, I put an offer in on so many places, and none of it come off.
It kind of wasn't meant to be, maybe.
And after a while, like Stephen Bartlett, who was talking about off camera, like he talks about just when is a good time to actually quit and knowing when to just not. And I think that was one of those.
How was that jump for you? Because I did read somewhere you were feeling slightly maybe burnt out, or it was getting quite a lot to deal with doing both the jobs.
Yeah.
Did you wait for the money to be coming in, or did you just think, no, follow my heart? Which came first?
The money was coming in. I was working on a show called Absolutely Ascot, and and Ascot is about 2 hours from where I live in Chelmsford in Essex. So I would get up, go to the gym in the morning, then drive the 2 hours, go to work, then come back and paint because I had commissions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did that for about a couple of months, and I ended up crashing a car. And I don't like this story because I don't like being all oh boo-hoo me. But anyway, that was kind of like the wake-up call to be like, no, this is just not working.
Because your mind was literally somewhere else.
Well, I fell asleep at the wheel, so like it wasn't that I crashed because I was a bad. Well, that's the way I like to phrase it. Anyway, I crashed because I fell asleep as opposed to like something I intentionally or didn't pay attention to. If that makes sense. Yeah. But anyway, so I was like, yeah, you can't.
You can't have a wake-up call at that point, really.
And it wasn't instant. It wasn't then like, oh, next day you then quit everything and go and do like they say in the movies. It was like just gradually over a period of time. I was like, cool. When I'm working, I need to do less of that, but over time, I'm going to do more of that.
And do you feel happy where you're at now? Do you feel happy that you've chosen art and this is where you are, or are you a bit? You seem like the kind of person that's looking over. What's next? Where am I going to go from here?
Am I happy?
Isn't that a massive question though? Define happiness. Is it waking up with a big smile, or seeing you've got more followers, like more money?
Today is about days of me asking that question.
Oh, is it? Oh, my darling.
No. No. But I think it will come. I think it will come. Yeah.
Share. Stop recording.
So,
Sweet.
Yeah. Like it's good. I think two things. There's a relationship side of that equation, and then there's also the art side of it, which is like you can look like you're doing really well on the outside or whatever. And I don't say like I'm not gonna break down all this kind of stuff. But what I'm saying is like people think that you're doing really successful work. I'm telling you, it's really hard to sell a lot of paintings. It's hard to do that, especially when you've got a lot of outgoings and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot to think about. So although it might look easy from the outside, it's not that easy to do. So I've got a lot of respect for anyone who starts a company or makes something successful. Because it's hard.
And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're out there doing something by yourself, that's incredible right now, isn't it? Because it's very easy to roll over and go and carry on working, in a retail shop or.
Yeah. Yeah. And then on the relationship side, it's like, yeah.
Going through some things.
Yeah, you want to I don't know, words up. It's difficult when you know what you want and you can't have it.
Reaching back to people.
Person, yeah. Yeah. But look, we'll see what happens. Hopefully it goes the right way, but it's life, I guess.
Or we can pray, we can, you know.
Yeah.
Do you believe in what's meant to be is meant to be? Do you believe the path is laid out for you at this point in terms of relationships and career? Or do you
I think you have
to have the control?
But I mean, weirdly enough, those two things I just mentioned, they contribute to each other. Like, I lost a relationship through focusing too much on the art, and it depends depends what means more to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like if you're paying no attention to the other person because you're just focusing on the thing, you might get the thing. You spoke about Rita Ora, she got the thing.
Yeah. And
then you look around and you're like, who am I enjoying this with?
And also, can you have one without the other? It's like you want to go at the end of the day and share about that big moment.
Yeah, I think you can. I definitely think there's a work-life balance to be had, and it will never be exactly where you want it to be, but you can get it to a position where it's much more where you want it to be.
Yeah, I think I read a quote somewhere, and this person said, "There is always a price where there is success to be paid."
Yeah,
I firmly believe that.
Yeah, there is. There absolutely is. And the price, again, we spoke off camera, but like, the price is all your friends are in relationships and got kids and blah blah blah, and I don't. Do you know what I mean?
How do you feel about that? Do you have? Is it a positive thing that you're focusing on other things because you're doing what you want to do, or does it? You're still young. You're still very young.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried about it, but like, the way I look at it is that I'm just going to work on myself selfishly, and you will attract the person that's meant to be in your life. So, like you said, what will we?
And the person that's supposed to be in your life will absolutely hold you up to a light, and in the same way you hold them up to a light when they need to be held up. I don't think nobody should sacrifice anything. I think it's really important to remember that as you go along, especially when you're giving everything it's inspirational. You want to be inspired by your partner and vice versa, I think. You want to, help each other achieve.
I remember what was it? I did I remember I never talk about the money of the paintings. I remember I had, I think it was about 21 grand just literally just come into my account in one. Oh, that was it. Yes, that was it. Yeah, that was the moment. Basically, I did some work for a company called Threads, and this company is like a private concierge. So basically, you, as a client over in Saudi Arabia or whatever, you go, I want this bag, I want this painting. They go, source it.
Great, I know.
They pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I remember it was like 21 or 22 grand just literally hit my account in one moment.
Was this sort of at the early part of your career or recently?
This was like 2 years ago, so about, a couple of years into doing it. And I remember just looking, I'm thinking, I can now pretty much buy anything that I personally
sorted,
buy.
yeah, you're on your own, let's go.
And I was like, well, you look around and there's no one there to actually, the person you want to share that with or tell, you can't. And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Yeah, you can have all that money.
What's the point?
No, I completely get that. So what did you do with the 21 grand?
Tried to get her back.
Oh my darling, what are we going to do here? What are we going to do?
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, I there's a lot to be sacrificed when you do the thing.
Yeah, well, hopefully it will all come good for you in that sense. I know it will, because you're a beautiful soul.
Oh.
And what's the next big thing then? So obviously you've got your paintings that you're going to be doing for the new Campbell Soup vibes.
Yep.
Anything else you're working on you need to know about?
My biggest thing for right now is YouTube and getting that.
It's interesting because that was an old concept, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think that where it's so crowded now in terms of the amount of people that you're competing against, depth of audience is way more important than breadth.
Yep.
So you spoke about having vanity metrics and followers. That's important, but I'd much rather have 1,000 really engaged people that are into it.
I think that's so well
than 50,000 that will throw 1 or 2 likes up. And so our focus, myself and Dan, we're focusing on building out that YouTube, and that for the next year or 2 is going to be where I think that we take ourselves to the
I think we've gone full cycle with that as well, because I've worked in radio for a very long time, doing commercials and things like that.
Right.
And we saw a drop in radio about 10 years ago, 5 years ago probably actually, as social media took over. But as time's gone on, radio's regrown again, and we can romanticise it again, a bit like the YouTube video, because when you put a radio advert out, no one can interrupt or write on it, and it's a bit like social media. Everyone can comment on their social media, can't they? But no one can comment. If you're a business and your advert's going out on the radio, no one can comment on it. It's out there beautifully on its own. So, and I think the same with YouTube. I mean, I know people can leave comments, but I think you can have a bit more control.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like
where you can't necessarily with social media because it's somebody else, the director, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, weirdly enough, I haven't actually got that much hate. Like literally over the years, like it'd be under 100 comments, which I don't think's that bad. Like, do you know what I mean? Don't like people saying negative, pretty even that. 20 comments maybe of like bad stuff. Like, I've been lucky because I know that some people get. I think when I go into this newer style, that's a lot simpler. People will be like, "Oh, I could just do that," but.
Yeah. But you know what they say as well. If you're doing well, people will have something to say, and there's always a little bit of jealousy around that kind of thing. So, just to cover it off, where can people find you? How can they get to your work? How can we buy your paintings?
Yeah, buy them for a start. Just message me if you want to get anything on Instagram. Probably is the best place just to DM me. But yeah, my handle is Laurence M White on all social media. So like, if you type that in, that will come
And LinkedIn, how's that going? I'm very intrigued to hear you're on LinkedIn. How do you find that's going? Are you getting lots of business people getting involved, or?
I don't really care too much.
One, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't really care too much for the medium or the platform. I don't really care whether it's YouTube or Instagram or whatever. I'm just into attention and reach. So on LinkedIn, you can still get organic reach with a really qualified audience because you've got professionals that can actually forward those types of things.
Yeah, definitely.
So for me, it's been a good one that, I mean, I've got a massive following, but like, I have got some painting sales off the bat of just posting. And you have to cater for the actual slight nuance on the platform as well.
Yeah,
so, instead of Instagram where I'll be telling a story about why I painted that, on LinkedIn, if I was posting the same thing, I would talk about what it means to be a business in terms of selling that product.
Yeah, it's playing to the audience, isn't it, and making it right. And TikTok, how are you getting on with that one? Is that something you use?
Yeah, I mean, weirdly, it's my biggest following. However, I feel like I've been shadow banned, so I don't really pay it too much attention. Put it this way, I'd rather have 10,000 YouTube subscribers than 1 million TikTok followers.
Do you think it's quite? There's a lot of wastage on TikTok now. There's a lot going on. It's very busy, very loud. You have to be very loud to be seen.
The difference, in my opinion, with TikTok is that when you scroll, you're not necessarily looking at someone's profile. You're just literally taking in that video for what it's worth. I've been entertained and I'm moving on. It's only if you're able to repeat that content over and over and over again that someone will actually click. I know you can get a following quite quickly, but what I mean by that is like an engaged audience where they keep coming back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's easy to just give a following because they make it quite easy.
Yeah.
So that's why it's not as, in my opinion, the follower isn't as important because it's so throwaway. Whereas if you're going onto someone's YouTube channel and consuming like 10-15 minutes of content, I mean 4 minutes is amazing to have someone watch your stuff for.
People don't have that.
They don't have the.
They don't have the staying power anymore, do they?
Yeah. So that's kind of why I'm focusing on that. Even though, like, I'll get TikTok working again at some point, hopefully, and then I'll be posting all the time. But yeah.
I think that's really clever, and making them exciting, and they have to move quite fast, don't they? Videos, when you put them together with different types of content to keep people.
A tip for Instagram Shorts, Reels, and TikToks. If I've said that again. Shorts, sorry, is that if you try loads of things, once you find the video that works, reproduce that style of video over and over again, because then people, again, just like with my art, people know I do black and white paintings with flicks on it. They'll come to know you as a talking head to camera and looks off at the very end, or whatever it is, and that's how you build brand.
Consistency as well, isn't it? It's really important. So that old question, I know everyone probably asks you this, but what advice would you give to somebody, let's say a teenage boy, for example, who's looking at you thinking, oh, I want to do that. How do I do that? How do I make it happen? How do I get seen? How do I start that first post?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say two things. generally, broadly speaking, the formula for results or success in this occasion is time, consistency, and hard work. So time is, it's going to take a lot longer than you think. Consistency is doing it pretty much every day, and hard work is obviously putting in the work. But you want to work so hard that it's unreasonable for it not to be successful.
Yeah.
So after this year, and I've kind of said to myself, if I don't get to the level where I want to in this year, I will then give it all up. Because there's no point. Yeah,
No.
and you kind of put that pressure on yourself to make sure that you're working unreasonably hard.
Is that in terms of getting to that 100,000 you spoke about?
Yeah.
But your followers have obviously gone up, so you're doing something right.
Yeah, and so in terms of the actual way to get there, I'll just tell you how I got there. I was lucky enough that I knew a few people, but if I didn't, I would be messaging influencers and collaborators in whatever niche it is. So it's food. I would go and make a meal for them, or if I've got a product like soap or whatever, I would send it to them, get them to post. That's going to be the easiest way you can ever grow. Then once I make some sales, I'll put a little bit of that money into ads so that you can start testing the ads that work best and you can run that. And then every time you sell, you put a little bit of money back into the ads. And then on top of that, you want to be posting daily, ideally, but regularly, if not, is kind
of reinvesting in yourself basically every day.
Yeah,
it's definitely the way forward.
So yeah, they're just that would be a couple of things.
Amazing, I like that. Well, I think I've covered off everything. I feel happy that I've got a lot of your journey. But I suppose what we might be missing here at the end is the love story that I want from you.
Yeah, we'll see.
Are you fighting for her?
Sorry?
Are you fighting for her?
Yeah.
Good.
If we do a podcast in a year's time, well, maybe we'll know what happened.
Well, don't stop fighting.
Yeah.
Don't give up.
We'll see what happens.
Just wait for you to fight. But thank you for your time. Thank you very much for coming to see me. That's been all my crazy questions.
No, thank you for having me.
I wasn't too painful for you.
No, I enjoyed it. It's been fun. It's been fun.
Well, thank you so much.